What was the worst dating experience you've had and why? She ordered 3 bottles of wine at dinner. I had maybe 3 glasses total. Which means she had 9 glasses on her own. When she tried to order a 4th one, the waiter cut her off. She caused a scene and got us kicked out of the restaurant. I called her an Uber, and while we were waiting she pissed herself in the parking lot. Basically poured her into the back seat of her Uber and went home. She texts the next day, "Hey, sorry I missed our date last night, I must have taken a nap and slept through it. Reschedule?" Met a lovely girl over Tinder, we really hit it off and had a great conversation, decided to meet in person for coffee the next day. She showed up on time, looked just like her pictures, and brought her boyfriend. Went on a first date. Waited 60 minutes for food at the restaurant. Cue awkward conversation. Went to a movie and the movie jammed in the middle and we had to wait 20 minutes for them to fix it. Cue awkward conversation. On the way home, the car broke down and he insisted we couldn't call any of my brothers or sisters for a ride, so we walked 4 miles home. In the snow. We have been married for 37 years. I went on a first date with a guy. He was very educated and polite. He was friends of a friend and they set up us. They failed to mention that he just got out of a 5-year relationship and was not over her in the slightest. We went to a restaurant he frequently took his ex to, which I found out 10 minutes into the date. I would try to change the subject when he mentioned her, but it was obvious he needed someone to vent to. So I spent the date letting him get out his thoughts/emotions about his ex. He wasn't a bad guy, he just wasn't in a position to be dating anyone. Dinner went pretty well, he was funny, sweet, so we decided to Uber to a bar. On the way there we're holding hands and chatting, the guy immediately pulls his half-hard cock out and asks the Uber driver to reroute to his home. The Uber driver threatened to call the cops, kicked him out of the car, and drove me home free of charge. I went on a Tinder date that ended in me leaving because his friends showed up at his place with a stolen goat. They wanted to kill it and try to get in touch with the spirit world. I wish I was kidding. Okay, I was a sophomore in college and went on the worst Tinder date of my life. This guy invites me to a really broy college bar. He shows up in sweatpants. I bought us the first round of drinks, but he never got another round, so that was it. I definitely wasn't drunk enough for this. I'm trying to make the most about this because he's cute and I only wanted something casual anyway. I was truly trying to make conversation, but every answer he gives is about football. He said he was on the team, a Google search later on proved that to be false. I asked him what he did for fun? Football. What other hobbies he had? Working out after football practice. Does he enjoy any games or anything? Madden. He also took a phone call in the middle of the date. While he was talking on the phone right in front of me, I was looking at the decorative signs all over the bar. I was too young to get up and just walk out, but I really wish I would have at this moment. When he hangs up the phone, he sees me scanning the signs on the wall and says, "So you like to read, huh?" We left shortly after. He insisted on walking me home. We get to my apartment building, he goes in for a hug. While grabbing me, he whispers, "I was really hoping to get a piece of this tonight. You can't be serious right now." I say, "Maybe next time," and run away. I didn't hear from him again until the following weekend, Saturday night, 2 a.m. My only blind date. My college roommate had a date, asked me if I'd come along and take out his date's roommate. I thought, what the hell, why not? We arrive at their place to pick them up. My date comes out, she's cute. She looks at me and just says, "Oh hell no." She goes somewhere else. I drown my sorrows in pitchers of margaritas. Find out they have a 2-pitcher per person limit, and we're at 6 pitchers already. I call a buddy to join us. Buddy arrives, sits across from me. Order 2 more pitchers of margaritas. Buddy tells me he had plans with a girl he'd been dating for a bit, but the plans had just fallen through, so let's get effed up. 3 minutes later, the girl he had plans with arrives on a date with another dude. Sits at the table right next to us. We call another buddy to join, so we can get 2 more pitchers of margaritas. In retrospect, We should have gone home after the second pitcher of margaritas. They walked into the restaurant immediately said I don't believe in dental hygiene. I believed them as they had black teeth and gums that I could smell from several feet away. I could not tell if it was a joke, or some sort of experiment, but it was hard to focus on much else. It was easily the most disgusting mouth I've ever seen. I'll keep this as short as possible. I was set up with a guy by a good friend so I was excited. We texted back and forth for a few days and finally decided to meet up. We decide to get dinner in my town. Plans are set and then he asks for a ride. No big deal, we were college age at that time. I get in my car, punch in the address and he's an hour away and like in the cuts. Okay, whatever. I get to the address and I'm like, this can't be right? It's literally a shed leaned up against a fence. Okay, no worries, maybe I can't see the rest of the property or something? Or maybe this is his home and he's just struggling right now. No skin off my nose, we had good chemistry texting. He gets in my car and he's bundled up, like turtleneck, jeans, puffy jacket, it's summer in a hot climate, throws a massive bag and something else I couldn't tell what. It was dark and I have a large fan, in my back seat. I'm wearing a mini skirt and a button-down blouse and 6-inch heels. He suggests we go somewhere else than we planned. Exciting, my friend had told me this guy was spontaneous like me. He guides me to a beautiful dark lake. The moon was shining and I could see so many stars. I'm not really dressed for this, but maybe he has something up his sleeve. I'm like, oh cute. Romantic. Then he pulls a fishing rod out of my back seat. I tell him I'm not dressed for this and I also don't like killing animals. I've tried fishing before and discovered it is certainly not for me. He objects, and I watch him fish for about an hour. Ignoring all my hints that I'm not having fun or that maybe coffee was a better plan. He puts his fucking fish in my backseat and I tell him I don't feel well, let's stop at the gas station so I can fill up and take him home. This part is the real deal breaker for me. At the gas station while I'm filling up, an African American woman approaches his window. This is important to the story. She asks for help filling her tires with air and I look and see her 2 kids in her car just looking exhausted. They were clearly on a road trip. Once again we're in the cuts. He looks at her and goes no. And turns away. I'm like WTF, so I get out and help her. She was on a trip. I get back in the car and ask him why he acted like that. He then proceeds to roll up his sleeves and show me prison tattoo swastikas and tells me all about his sentencing for assault with a deadly weapon and a few other things I can't remember. Lovely. I drive as fast as I can back, freaking out. I have a racist, potentially dangerous, fish-toting weirdo in my front seat. I drop him off at his shack and let him get his stuff out of my car. As he's leaving he goes, "Do you wanna come in and meet my mom?" I sped off. I don't talk to the friend who set us up anymore. The end. Oh, and I once had a friend whose Tinder date took her on a first date to his mom's funeral. I went on a date with a guy who not only felt that I was emasculating him because I won't let him pay for my meal and drinks. It was a first date and I believe in splitting the bill on the first date so that no one feels they owe the other. He kept demanding that I let him pay and I kept saying it's fine when he blurted out, "Just let me pay, damn it. How the fuck else am I gonna get lucky tonight?" Date ended there and then. I don't sleep with people of the first date either. It made my school year awkward though because we shared a lot of classes, but for the most part I avoided him. I got catfished, but for some reason I felt too mean calling her out on it because she was a nice person, just not my type, and she had obviously used another woman's photos. Other than that she seemed very kind and I didn't want to hurt her feelings. So we still went to my place, where eventually during a movie after some hints she finally just asked me, "Do you want to have sex now?" Again I felt bad, so I made up this lie about how I really wanted to, but I was a devout Christian and it was a war inside me. I got her a soda and we finished watching Captain America. At the end of it she asked me if I was gay and I said no, then she kinda rolled her eyes while we said goodbye. Not me, but my uncle told me about a date where he picked the girl up and on the way to their destination she asked, "Would you mind if I fart?" I'm super gassy and so he was like, "Oh no, I guess not," and rolled down the window for her like a gentleman. Not me, but I was heavily involved in setting up the date. I set up a good friend, a girl with a guy I used to work with. Later that night after the date, she called me up and said I think I'm related to him somehow. We go sleuthing on Facebook and text each other updates. And after an hour of talking to some distant relatives, we are dead certain that he's her nephew a couple of times removed. She calls me up sobbing, saying they had already had sex twice after that first date.